Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.
Welcome to a special Eid al-Adha episode of... I was focusing too much on the pronunciation of Eid al-Adha that I lost my tongue. So anyway, welcome everyone. This is Dubai Works Business Podcast. We're back. We have a very special guest in studio today. Thank you, Laith, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Laith Matthews is a Dubai-based entrepreneur. He launched his first business in Dubai in 2011, Make Business Hub. The real veterans of Dubai business scene will be very familiar with that concept and trailblazing location, a concept that it was at the time. It was the region's first dedicated creative and entrepreneurial co-working cafe. After starting Make Business Hub, he then joined Snapcard as co-founder to launch and grow the digital loyalty platform. After exiting that again, he launched Akin Barber & Shop, another name that people will be very familiar with, a trend-leading men's grooming business and change maker in the region. Moving on from that, he's launching Rockpool, the region's first dedicated men's personal care site. And today we'll be discussing this latest venture and his journey in Dubai. So thanks for joining, Laith.
Fantastic, great to be here. I'm a long-time watcher, first-time guest, so thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for watching as well, and really, it's been a long time, but now the time is right? You're about to launch a new concept, so tell us a bit more about Rockpool.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe just to tell a little bit of a winding story that you began. Because just listening in, I guess it is a little bit of a sounds like a meandering journey. But I arrived into Dubai in just before 2010. Coming from, I'm Australian. I was living in Europe. I'd studied hotel management, hospitality, and I'd arrived into Dubai on a similar track. But one of the first things I noticed when I arrived here was, the city was so young, so youthful, full of a positive energy. And then I also had the idea that there was a couple of things missing. And rather than people around me who I sort of got the sensation that, they were disappointed that they didn't have things from their home country, or they didn't have things that they were expecting from America or from Europe. I just saw that as such a big opportunity to be like, well, if I was able to fill a couple of those gaps, then I would have the opportunity to grow with the city. Which brought me to, I was actually working on a business plan to open a restaurant in Dubai. And I had a job at the time, but I was working a lot in cafes and coffee shops, working on the business plan. And I couldn't help but feel most of the people around me had the laptops open, had the notebook next to them, and were obviously working on something. And we were the majority of the clientele back then. So it was a Google search when I searched the term working cafe. And that was like before the WeWorks, before the big names, were out there and sort of, becoming the big business that co-working became. So anyway, I stumbled upon co-working just like anyone did, and shifted my full attention to launching my first business, which was Make Business Hub. That's pretty important to the story because back then, 2010, 2011, early doors for this entrepreneurial uprising, I guess you could call it, that you've observed and you've been a part of, and I've later been a part of as well. But back then it was we had a space called Make. It was a cafe, but it was also dedicated to entrepreneurial activities, events, gatherings, anything that you could imagine. We were throwing ourselves at to sort of nurture this community. So back then I met all the guys from the large tech, from Google to Facebook to IBM to Cisco. All of the big guys were sort of hanging out there. The early beginnings of the venture world from Dubai, they were hanging out there as well. And the young entrepreneurs and freelancers were hanging out at Make as well. So coming from a food and beverage background, I found myself in the sort of epicenter of entrepreneurial thinking and early startup culture. Which then I was, you know, fully taken by it. I think I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I always knew that I would have my own business, but back then it was a restaurant because that's what I had studied, etc. But then I was well and truly had the bug, yeah.
So yeah, let's go with that conversation as well, because it is fascinating. Because I arrived a couple of years later, and I lived opposite that venue. It was in the Dubai Marina, if people remember, and it was so refreshing. But also, it had a real community. I remember even picking up books and reading them. I think I read Velocity, the AKQA book there. Like, I distinctly remember lots of things, attending events. It was really something. And I think, you know, people sort of, not only did Dubai not have it, but not everywhere was finding its feet with sort of co-working. Like, to create something from scratch, like, did you kind of give up the business plan that you were working on, and did you go about this in that way? And did you kind of sort of fall into it and, as you said, caught the bug where you're like, right now I'm one of these guys?
Well, it was interesting because, like, my business plan was a food and beverage business plan. I remember
it was your own business plan. It wasn't something you were executing for someone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, because the funny thing was I was working on my first business, and that was going to be a restaurant. So someone helped me by giving me a financial forecast sheet for one of the larger restaurants that were operating at the time in Dubai. And that was a big help for me, to help me to lay out the concept next to a bit more of a financial forecast. So I was working towards that. And then when I shifted the idea from restaurant to co-working space, I still had the business model at its core, which was we commercialized through food and beverage. What was interesting, and I still think this is relevant today, is even though co-working has grown and co-working has became something so critical to a lot of people and really sort of mainstream across the world for people's work habits and work environments. The thing about Make, it was a truly entrepreneurial venture. Like, I had to pay the bills, I had to pay the staff, of course, I had to pay the electricity. So everything that we did, we were sort of hustling. We were doing like 3 or 4 events a week, which was wonderful for the community. You know, Make Food was an entrepreneurial event around food. Make Fitness, an entrepreneurial event around the fitness industry. Make Fashion, etc., etc., etc. These were wonderful for like helping to share the passion and get people together and share the knowledge. But at the same time, that was helping to drive my business. Do you know what I mean? So like, we were a startup space with a startup soul, startup right at the beginning. Like, you know, from the core, we were as much in the hustle as any of the entrepreneurs that were sort of working from the space. I don't know if it was like around the same time, but like all the books that you were reading, I was reading the same books. A lot of the sort of the bubblings from Silicon Valley were starting to, you know, spread around the world, and this sort of idea of really smart people going it alone and you know, creating something from scratch that could become something really monumental. That was like the energy that was definitely at that time, and like many of us from that time have continued on that wave ever since.
Yeah, and what happened next? Like, why isn't Make still there? Like, I also remember being on Foursquare a lot at the time, and you would see this sort of those entrepreneurs who would travel through Dubai, transient, would end up at Make Business Hub, and they'd be like, that's the best place to go to, best coffee, best place to work from in Dubai.
Yeah.
So, you know, that felt like early, you know, potentially if it was still there, it could be more now.
Yeah. It's interesting because like my co-founder from the next business, his very first day in Dubai, he came to Make because he heard it was the spot for entrepreneurs. We had people traveling through from America, from Europe. I remember one conversation with a guy from Silicon Valley, and he was there and he was looking around the Make space. And I'll never forget this. He said, I don't know if it's genius or luck, but you've really got something here. And I'll carry that through with me for forever, because like, I think that's business in general. Like, it's a big bit of like a good idea. It's a big bit of like strategy and seeing an opportunity. And then there's a really big bit of luck as well. Whether that's creating a brand that resonates or just getting like a little bit of a, you know, luck plays a part for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And especially from an F&B background, right? Like, because when any restaurant, anyone will tell you like it's that kind of je ne sais quoi of like the mix, right? You might have the best interior designer, the best chef, but like it's that kind of the coming together of pieces that people just feel when they go in.
100%. Like the combination of art and science.
Yeah.
whether it's a restaurant or whether it's a business.
Yeah, yeah. And the commercial part of it. So, you know, the commercial, it was an F&B commercial.
Exactly.
And you didn't sort of turn it into sort of rently desks like WeWork have gone on to, and you know, many here like Astrolabs, etc.
So my feelings about it, especially back then, was like the barrier to entry needs to be super low. Like I didn't want any sort of blockage where people had to pay to play. Like I wanted people to immerse themselves into this community, even if it was their first toe into the water. And that put pressure onto us, of course, to really make sure that we had a decent offering of coffee, food, etc., etc. Was it the correct model? Like who knows? Like, you know, the WeWorks of this world, much more real estate play, you know, and arguably doing a fantastic job. To wrap up quickly on like my story there, I had huge plans for it, really big plans. I had a business partner at the time who had different plans. And basically I sold my shares to him and he took over the business, which was amicable. Everything was absolutely fine. But I can't really judge whether, like, you know, did it reach its potential, because it wasn't myself on the steering wheel at the end. Yeah.
And again, there's kind of different ideas, but there's also two businesses in one, right? A cafe F&B pure play is very different to a co-working space or a real estate place. So
absolutely,
it's kind of, lots of different things together.
And I think I could talk about co-working all day, because my life is co-working. Like literally, I've never paid a lot for office spaces, because I know I get my energy from these sort of environments. But still, the places that I prefer most are fully functional F&B venues.
Really?
Yeah, because I like the energy. I like the changing faces. I like the music. I like the dynamisty of the place. Whereas I find a lot of co-working gets flat, and unless someone's really in there stirring the pot and stirring the culture, it doesn't live up to what it's there to do actually.
Fascinating. That's actually a lot of the commentary out of the US of the kind of comeback of WeWork at the moment. Like, co-working is a nice term because it's like co-living and there are other people there, but actually you're not co-working. You know, you never actually have brainstorms with the other startup. You know, you're kind of co-inhabiting a workplace, but you're not actually co-working. So I think I kind of understand, and you know, we started off in a co-working space as well, which was amazing, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. And I know you've found a lot of cool cafes at the moment in Dubai that you're doing your new ventures of as well.
Launching Rockpool, you mean? So getting onto Rockpool. So
no, we can keep going.
No, that's absolutely fine. And with Rockpool, we actually have a beautiful office. Actually, we're established through In5, which is a wonderful platform within Dubai, and I'm sure most of your listeners will know about it. But they have In5 Technology, In5 Design, and In5 Media. And what they do is they offer sort of like co-working or supported rates for the office setup, and they offer the company like ours to exist within an ecosystem of other like-minded companies. So it is wonderful, and we're really having a lot of fun with In5. So early on with the conceptualization of Rockpool. So Rockpool is an e-commerce, dedicated e-commerce, specialized in men's personal care. So specialization, dedication, and expertise around skincare, hair care, shave, styling, and smart supplements. So that's grown a little bit, the categories as we've grown. Just understanding that, like, if we do have this holistic approach to men's personal care, then we wouldn't want to leave out one or two of these categories as well. So men's personal care. So again, is this sort of
a continued thesis, and we can go back to some of your other ventures, but is this again a spotting, kind of 10, 12 years in Dubai, a gap, like your barber venture, etc., a gap that's not here? And how did you kind of go about spotting that gap, but also the kind of macro trend around men personal care as well?
Yeah. So after Make, going back to the road, how we got here. After Make, I launched. I partnered with a young German-Irani entrepreneur, really special character called Alborz Tufani. Many people, as part of the ecosystem here, would remember and know Alborz fondly. And we set off to launch digital. It was an application all based around customer loyalty to some of your favorite coffee shops, and so it was something that we were very much deep into, and we had a lot of fun growing that company over the next few years. Snapcard, exactly. And that was an interesting time in the timeline of Dubai as well, where a lot of people were getting excited around the possibilities of applications, the possibilities of technology, and we were one of them. We were one of a couple of companies, and we grew it to a certain level. But at least at one point, I felt I was missing the physical touch, to be honest. And paired with that, I couldn't help but see the opportunity for a little bit more of a tailored men's grooming approach. So I'd been living in Dubai already 5 or 6 years. I had always struggled to get a decent haircut, in my opinion, or if I was getting a decent haircut, I was paying a lot for it. But coming to this region, I had found myself getting more and more into beard culture. So meaning like I had a place to go and get my shave done, and that was a once a week thing. And then I'd have another place to get my hair cut, and I wouldn't mix them, basically.
Wow. Okay.
And then I couldn't help but feel like, yeah, but this experience doesn't suit me here, and it doesn't suit me here. So we must have an opportunity to create a more user-centric, user experience idea to pull in really world-class haircuts and sort of best-in-class shave culture. And we did, yeah. So we launched Akin Barber and Shop in 2015. We were ahead of the curve. We were one of the first to hit the ground here in Dubai, but certainly the trend was coming. And then I think once we saw the impact that Akin had on the market, like we were extremely busy. We were, it was a great company. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I remember at the time that when you were going about that, the attention to detail, the research, you would have not only researched online, but you visited barbershops around the world, in New York, etc. So like it really is a testament to how you come up with something. The execution is about the research and the detail. Is that something you're conscious of? Is that part of your process?
Yeah, I think so. So part of launching Akin, I traveled to New York and did like a little bit of a pilgrimage to the key barbershops that I thought were doing really well, not only in their customer experience and what they were offering, but also the brand that they were building. And I could see them becoming something quite important. I traveled to Stockholm to do the same thing, because I felt like this Scandinavian aesthetic was something that I had always appreciated, and I felt like maybe if a blend of Scandinavian and New York could be something quite interesting here in Dubai. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's very important when you're setting up anything, to do your research and look at sort of best-in-class examples of. But at the same time, like this is a passion as well. So it's like if I can combine travel with research, or if I can combine travel with work, then absolutely, yeah.
And again, it was a trend moment, but there's a difference between, is this a business approach in terms of building something once that's beautiful in design and concept and works and is profitable, versus something that's sort of almost franchisable or scalable? Is that something that you're conscious of as well, or?
Yes, I think so. Like building the brand Akin Barber and Shop, I had aspirations for it to be, to grow vertically. I wanted multiple venues, so whether they were ours or joint ventures or franchises, that was in my vision for how it would grow. I wanted it to grow into products. I wanted it to grow into other directions as well. So
that was the brand that you created in that as well.
Exactly. So to kind of like, but what happened? I was always interested in products as well. Like right from the beginning, I called it Akin Barber and Shop because I really wanted to. I understood back then that the male shopping environment was a little bit off as well. I felt, where we get our haircuts is slightly off, but also where we buy our grooming products, our cosmetic products is slightly off for the male consumer. So I went about creating the user experience on the services side, but then really focusing in a lot on a male-centric shopping environment to create a masculine yet thoughtful environment where people could get great quality products and get the information and the know-how behind them. So that was I was always interested in that, and that was part of the mission. Right from the beginning with Akin, I was reaching out to brands that I thought were amazing from Europe to Asia to America, and building these relationships, getting to know the owner, the founder, working out ways to bring the products to Dubai and sell them to the consumer here through the shop.
Yeah.
One thing that I found, like the sophistication, when we hit the ground with Akin in 2015, was the right time for the sophistication of the market at the time. Guys were looking for great haircuts. They were looking for great beard service. They were looking for an environment that was a little bit more tailored and personable and suited their personal brand as well.
Yeah, and a higher quality of service and things like that.
Absolutely. But then over the next 5 years, I saw the sophistication of the male consumer grow, year on year. They were getting more informed. They were getting more interested, they were getting more knowledgeable and more motivated to expand their grooming habits. So while it might have started with a nice beard trim and a haircut, guys were really interested in like what's better for the hair, what's better care, how can I or what products can I use?
Okay.
Skincare, the same thing. And it was interesting because I was into it, I was researching it, I was speaking with like some of the best and fairest in the world. And then I was able to have the sort of consumer right there at my, within arm's reach as well. And people started to really look to me as something of an expert. And I could see myself as, well, no one else is really filling this space, and I really enjoy it. So I'm not a barber, I'm not a technician of any sort, but I would often spend time in the shop because I enjoy it and I enjoy to be with our customer. And I would start having more and more conversations with the customer about personal care routines, actually, which sort of brought me to the idea that, hey, I want to get more into into this specialization. I've always been a fan of digital, even before Make days. After Make, I went into digital, but I've always been a keen fan of like, the tech space.
Yeah.
So then I had the feeling that like, I see the motivation of the male, of men in general. I see this as not a niche interest as potentially people used to perceive it as, like, some men are into look after themselves. I started to feel like, no, it's almost all men are interested in looking after themselves. All men are interested and motivated to look and feel their best self.
Okay.
And as you know, we've had conversations about this before. I'm very much interested in mindset and arriving at a mindset to allow you to do your best, reach your potential. And I feel that looking and feeling your best self plays a part of that, of finding that mindset as well. So yeah, then I just basically like dove in like hard directly into the idea that I was going to create a dedicated e-com. It would not be focused only on the UAE, it would be focused on the GCC, which would give me a larger market to go after. I would launch this business with a very clear mantra or belief that men are motivated, but they need better understanding, they need better knowledge, they need better guidance and even mentorship to bring them from from interest into full adoption. And that's where I see Rockpool playing exactly at the moment.
Fascinating. So it has kind of evolved from, and thanks for sharing the backstory, from sort of those different ventures, but especially akin and spotting the products, and that these products, not only are they not in the market, the information around them isn't there as well. So Rockpool is an e-commerce play around male products as well. We've had it recently, and it's testament to, again, you spotting the trend, but we've had a lot of entrepreneurs in the beauty space. Like, it's a huge category. It's taken off, is it not? And especially in this region, like, did you do some research around the beauty category as well?
Yeah, beauty is humongous, as you know. There are some massive examples locally, huge success stories locally, and of course internationally. The female beauty sector is huge and getting huger, and very well sort of catered for. So whether it's a multi-brand site similar to what I'm launching for men, a good example, a simple example is Sephora for women.
Yeah.
Sephora is multi-brand. They also have their own products, but they offer such an amazing consumer experience for the female demographic.
Okay.
The female demographic who understand, who love, who appreciate, who enjoy skincare, the beauty side of things.
Yeah.
You know, would love the shopping experience of Sephora. For the male, and me included, I find it a little bit overwhelming when I either were to arrive on the website of Sephora or arrive at their shop. So even though it's best in class for female, for men it's not quite the right mark. But then take that a little bit further. I know I'm not answering your question perfectly, but into the sort of like cosmetic floor of a department store. That again, like I've known that for years and years, that this was not the perfect experience that I'm looking for, even though I'm interested in these products. So while the beauty side of things in the female space is huge, it's done in a very different way. So girls will arrive at a e-com for cosmetics or beauty or skincare, and they're relatively well informed. So the way that they shop, they're shopping based around price, they're shopping based around ingredients, of course. How I'm looking at it and how we're looking at it at Rockpool is much more around the education, much more around the understanding. So in a way of thinking about the Sephora even as a physical example, that shopping experience. If Rockpool was to do a physical representation, and we might very soon, it would probably be a consultation lab.
Okay.
It would give you the opportunity to meet, to speak, to understand, without even thinking about purchasing. And then we offer like best in class, world class brands and products. Yeah. Once you've got the greater understanding of what's great for you and what's good out there, you're able to make more informed choices.
Fascinating. Yeah, judging by the story that you've told, you do seem like someone who would need the physical as well, interaction as well. So it's amazing. But you know, rather than bluntly saying that men are uninformed around personal care, it's more that this type of business sort of is another trend in terms of merging content with sort of product and purchasing and a curated sort of experience as well, rather than sort of pure play, let's click on some buttons and drive the price down, and let's focus on you know, that sort of performance part of e-commerce. You're trying to kind of do a more holistic approach, not just to male products, but a holistic approach to the brand and what it offers.
Absolutely. And switching back again to the reason why we've set up at In5, we've actually set up the In5 Media Hub. Yeah. Because this business for me is more than anything content. Yeah. Really great quality content, great quality storytelling that helps the male consumer to understand in a cool, fun, efficient way. But yeah, that's how I see this business, where, you know, almost content first, education first, guidance first, and then a world-class e-com that we commercialize through.
So, touching on some of the kind of things that you mentioned, hair care, skincare, styling products, smart supplements, if I mention those terms to people right now, they will never think of them together. They will think of, okay, skincare, yeah, cool, I get that, maybe in my weekly shop or at the airport. Hair care, yeah, that's the barber. Styling products, again, similar to different, maybe I might buy them while I go to the hair shop, and then supplements maybe in the pharmacy. So, is there something wrong with that, or how can people kind of be more informed, and what products, how advanced has these products come for the kind of uninitiated?
Yeah. And I should say now, like, there's a lot of guys out there who are super well informed, and they're very well educated, and I'm meeting more and more of these guys on the journey at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful, and that's because it's such an interesting category as well. The ingredients, to understand why you would use something for which effect. Like it is super interesting.
There's a science and there's a medical element to it. Of course.
100%.
Yeah.
And in many cases, and especially what we're interested in and dedicated to, is looking for the clinical trial that proves the claims. So we're looking for that best of science, best of nature, but proven ingredients. So we definitely look at this as a holistic opportunity. In everything we do, we look at we try to think about the small routines or the small positive habits that you will do, that I will do on a daily basis, that they make all the difference in the long run. So whether it's our communication or whether it's the routines that we're bringing together on the website, we're looking at the small positive things that you can do across, supplements for your body, supplements for your mind, skincare for your particular skin, styling products. I think it does make sense that it would all sit in one well-informed and well-delivered platform.
Yeah, interesting. So what would sort of success look like for you?
I'm hoping for a really great launch. I'm hoping, which is coming up. We'll launch within the next few weeks. I'm looking for the brand and the offering to resonate across the GCC. We're working hard to identify and work with and work through really dynamic, creative, successful guys to help us spread our message. I'm hoping that we will, build that inertia. We will find a following, we'll grow a community, and we will be the leader in this space in a year, 18 months time. And
how do you approach that from a kind of a business plan and strategy point of view? Do you seek investment? Do you position it as e-commerce, as content? Famously, Adam Newman tried to, said, I remember reading about WeWork, and they said at the very start, a journalist from the New York Times, from the real estate section, interviewed him, and he said, "No, do you have anyone who reports on community?" Because he saw it more than real estate. But so, do you position it as a community company, and how do you do a business plan around that?
I think every company should be a community company to some degree. There's so many good examples of a successful company growing out of a core following, a core dedicated following. The way I see it is, and I should stress. So I'm not the lone founder. I have two co-founders who have joined me on the trip, and it is self-funded. So we're coming at this with a small war chest. I sold a kin barber and shop as well. We didn't mention. So I have a small amount of money. My partners have a modest amount of money, but we think it's enough if we use the entrepreneurial hustle that is ingrained in my DNA, I think.
Yeah.
So we will
track record to prove it.
Yeah. and building a company that's a lot around great relationships, great community. Impressing on each and every individual who comes across our brand to then slowly but surely grow out to be that leader.
And the category, how do you kind of describe the category in Dubai at the moment? touched on where people would get products, but sort of are there content, are there newsletters, are there websites, are there e-commerce plays in this category as well?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fragmented at the moment, and I think you rightly said, like when you broke down where you shop for these different categories. So starting from supplements, you know, we have a thriving small pharmacy ecosystem here in the region. Are they a little bit overwhelming? Do you need to do your research before you enter them? Like, yes, for sure. Are there better direct-to-consumer options coming for supplements? Yes, there are, but into skincare, I think, you know, there are a couple of interesting brands here who do a good job of passing on the information and passing on the experience to the consumer. Most of them are physical, and then and even down to shopping for your shampoo or your hair styling products. It's still a matter of supermarket brands or what's available at your local barbershop. I feel like it's quite fragmented, and there is certainly an opportunity to make the experience easier, better, more enjoyable. And I think with a curated collection of brands like what Rockpool has, you're getting the best of the world has to offer, really.
Interesting. Yeah, we actually did something. You did something with me recently around routine, and you produced some products that I had no idea existed. I think these particular ranges from Sweden, and I would not know how to go about maybe Googling it, but I really wouldn't know how to do it. Never mind having the knowledge to purchase it. So that's amazing that I kind of had an experience of what Rockpool will provide, but sort of the logistics of that. Will you have a warehouse? Will you focus on last mile delivery? Like, what are the kind of decisions that you're sort of going in, and how many products will you have when you launch and things like that?
Yeah. So we thought long and hard about this, of course. We looked a lot into the science and psychology of it as well, to think about, well, a range of choice that was broad enough that the male consumer would feel that there was enough options, without going too far that it felt overwhelming. And I know that experience. I know it myself. If I feel a little bit overwhelmed, I'll catch myself, because I'll be like, oh, I'm backing away because I got overwhelmed. So yeah, with that understanding, we're launching with around 140 SKUs, 140 products across around 12 to 14 brands. The brands that we are working with are best-in-class category leaders from around the world, from Europe, from America, from Asia, and not just pretty packaging with information and ingredients to back up the claims. And what I've found interesting about our time together, when we spent some time together, and we're going through some of the products that we were working with from Sweden. You as a sort of person that you are, I think, like, you appreciated them for the feeling and the smell and the way that it made your skin feel and look. But I think if we gave you, and which we will, a little bit more information and insight and understanding about why that product is important and what do the key ingredients do for you, I feel that you'll greatly appreciate it, and I could see that becoming a more and more important part of your life
and routine. Yeah, but and it is that sort of, you know, I know I'm a guinea pig here, a test case for Rockpool, but I think it's like, it is about being informed. It's like with any product choice, you know, if people are more health conscious, they can choose different meal types, different things like that. Any sort of product is about being informed and making a decision for yourself, and then you can know what value is and things like that. So it's fascinating on that level. So looking forward to seeing the launch. I think 140 SKUs, or, you know, even 14 brands would overwhelm me right now, but I think I can trust you to steer me along the way. Leith, to finish up, sort of, you've been and I think it's great to speak to you, and we could have went into a lot more detail on other ventures, because I'm sure you'd have a lot of experience to share with other entrepreneurs, but you are a sort of a brilliant Dubai entrepreneur, sort of a product of the system, a proof what's possible here, that, you know, it is possible to be to bring ingenuity to different sort of sectors in space. And then you talk about the GCC region, but are you still as positive and optimistic about that excitement that you felt when you first came to Dubai now, and how does that sort of outlook look for you in the coming kind of years?
Yeah, definitely. So when I arrived in Dubai more than 10 years ago, I never thought probably that I would be here 10, 12 years later. But I definitely sense the energy, and I definitely sense the opportunity. 3 businesses later, about to launch my 4th business, and I'm still as energized and optimistic as ever. So many times I'll catch myself, having an experience in Dubai, whether it's the In5 Media Hub, where we're set up with access to world-class production equipment, or whether it's where I go swimming, it's a world-class Olympic quality swimming arena. And I just think to myself, like, everything that Dubai has and we have access to, like, we have every opportunity to do exactly what we want to do. And I think a lot of it comes down to mindset. Like, I'm such a big believer in that, and I explore it in a couple of different things that I do. But I personally feel like if you've got the right mindset, you understand what your larger objectives are, Dubai, this region, the world in general is your oyster.
Amazing. Well, we really thank you for sharing all that today. Really look forward to watching how Rockwell launches, to experiencing the product, and to seeing it grow, and hopefully that you'll stay in Dubai, not a return to Australia, and sort of expand this across the region.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Late. Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.